Give me one, give me one. Woo!
Bryant for the win. Bang!
They're standing everyone. Oh my, he's got it. Wow. Michigan at the 41. What a hit. Ball's free on the ground. South Carolina deserves to have it. Seth Rollins just curb stomped Randy Orton.
And with that curb stomp, the future is now.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is season 2 of the 5-Star Podcast. First guest of the season is Mr. Alex Green, here, my buddy, who does a little refereeing at the high school level.
Yes, sir, I do.
So what's going on in high school wrestling right now?
High school wrestling season is getting into our regional and our state competition level. Next weekend, I'm going actually to Lindsey Wilson College to referee the state duels, which is not a KHSAA sanctioned event as far as a team championship, but a state championship is awarded through the Coaches Association, which is a big honor for me, first time getting to do it. High school wrestling, we're in Region 8. I know that the 15th, 14th, 13th region all gets this, but in high school regional coverage, we're in Region 8. We've got some great wrestling going on. Jordan Blanton at Johnson Central, last year he won the 145-pound state championship. I think he's undefeated so far this season. He's poised to take it all again. There's a couple other kids on Johnson Central's roster, Blake Gamble, Joe Jackson, Sam Griffith, all those guys. Sheldon Clark probably has the best tradition of any mountain team wrestling-wise. They've got 2 team state championships, and I think they're at 17 individual champions, which is unheard of for this area. You've got Perry Central, Major and Miss Corey. They do an absolutely phenomenal job with their team. They're the most organized people running a tournament that I've ever been associated with. I wish I could take them with me everywhere I go. Also, we've got one of my good buddies down in this part of the area, Chris Spurlock, who referees wrestling. We go a lot of places together. Actually, Chris is going to be with me at the state duels. So wrestling is taking off. You know, we're not on the level of like Union County, Campbell County, St. Xavier, Trinity, all those other schools that you talk about. We do, however, have some great teams that are up and coming. Letcher County Central, in my opinion, is on the rise. Like I said, Sheldon Clark, they've got Josh and Dan Muncie as their coach. Both of them are former state champion wrestlers, doing a great job there. Coach Matney at Johnson Central. Wrestling is taking off, and if you've never seen a high school meet, I encourage you to get out to one. There's one usually about every weekend in this area. So if you get a chance to get out, you'll probably see me there, me and Chris Spurlock, so get out and be there.
I've been to one high school wrestling event, only one. It was when I just got out of high school, but it was a really fun event. Everybody seems it's kind of like a family atmosphere.
It is.
Everybody knows everybody.
And that's when we got to do weigh-ins, and I see pretty much the same teams week after week after week from November up until end of February. I'm going, to Pike Central, Johnson Central, Sheldon Clark, Perry Central, Letcher Central. I'm going all over this area refereeing. I see the same kids. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have any trouble with the kids. I tell them in weigh-ins, guys, this is what I expect from you. You throw your headgear, you're done. You try to fight, you try to turn this into a UFC or MMA style fight, you're gone. I'm not even going to put up with it. And all the other refs in the state have the same mindset. But with this area, me, Chris Spurlock, J.J. Jude, I think everybody knows J.J. from Johnson Central.
It's former state title.
Two-time state champion at Johnson Central. And there's another gentleman named Josh Stepp, who was also a state champion at Sheldon Clark 1999. He won Most Outstanding Wrestler that year. He's reffing now for us. We see the same kids, same coaches, the same fans, same teams, week in, week out. And it's very exciting, especially when you get into the championship rounds or the semifinals of an individual tournament. It will rival some of the best basketball atmospheres. I know basketball is king in this area, and I love basketball myself, but I wrestled in school. That's why I wanted to start refereeing, because I know refs were hard to get. You had to get them to come from Cincinnati, Lexington, Louisville. I picked it up. This is my 9th season, and as long as the good Lord lets me live, I'll plan on doing it the rest of my life.
And I think a lot of that, just the attitudes and the how the kids, you tell them what you expect and they go by it. I think the folks in the mountains, that's the way we're raised, and I think go out and give these kids a shot. See a wrestling match. It's good. You also might see Alex reffing some independent pro wrestling.
Yes, I do.
We've had a lot of those guys on here. So, how long have you been doing that?
Last year was my first year refereeing professional wrestling. One of the parents was of a kid was at a meet, and it was like, we need some referees. I grew up a pro wrestling fan, but I never really thought that I would actually referee professional wrestling. And I got hooked up with some people where I live there in Paintsville, Bluegrass Championship Wrestling, Ken Cantrell, and he gave me a shot. And I've met some great people. My boy John Noble, Earl, Kyle Maggard down this way, Eddie, all those guys that referee and work this area. Great guys. I mean, I've had some great experiences with those going to Buckhorn, which I never thought I would get there. I've been, a lot of places getting a referee, meeting a lot of wrestlers from outside this area, and it's the same thing. We choreograph the match, and people that's never been in a locker room of a professional wrestling event or show, everybody thinks that wrestling is fake. Wrestling is not fake. Wrestling is scripted, and I'll be the first. I mean, there's no secret in that. If they really wanted to break somebody's arm, they would break somebody's arm. They don't want to do that. Those guys, most of them have jobs, have families. They do it because they love it. They're not there to win anybody over that's not a fan. They're there to entertain the people that paid their money. They're $7, $8, $10 to get in and see the event. And that's something great about the locker room, is how much choreographing goes into each match, because you got everybody, you got the tag teams over here. Okay, we're going to duck one, take one. This is the spot here. It's going to finish with a DQ or run in or whatever the spot call is for the finish. And you can tell those guys when they get to the back, if they mess up on something, man, they're upset at themselves. They're not mad at anybody else. They're mad at themselves because they know they messed up. They didn't give 110%. And that's, I think, the way it should be.
Oh, yeah. Anyone that's ever watched the podcast knows I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. One of the biggest wrestling events of the year is the Royal Rumble.
Absolutely.
By WWE, and it's a historic event.
It is.
And we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But what is your favorite Royal Rumble? You were telling me a little bit about it.
By far, my favorite Royal Rumble is the 1992 Ric Flair winning the title. That is the best Royal Rumble that WWE has ever or will ever produce. With Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon's commentary, the entrance that was kind of at the verge, it kind of ended an era, I guess. The 1992 pay-per-views and the 1993 are worlds apart. I mean, you still had Hogan, you had The Undertaker in his grays, you had Savage. All these stars that we grew up watching was in that Rumble. And the build-up was supposed to have been at WrestleMania 8, Hogan versus Flair for the title. That was, the biggest pay-per-view in history. It would probably have beat WrestleMania 3, but Hogan had some issues come up that he wasn't able to. He wrestled WrestleMania 8, but it wasn't the money event like they thought. Everybody knows Hogan and Sid wrestled. Ultimate Warrior ran in at the end of it, and Flair and Macho Man wrestled for the title with Savage winning it. But Vince had the dollar signs in his eyes. I think he did with the build-up of the WrestleMania 8 and the Royal Rumble in 1992. But Flair, his performance from coming out at contestant 3 and the way he finished and the way that Bobby Heenan kept putting him over, and he kept Bobby Heenan's commentary. I'll just put the commentary on and play it through my surround sound at the house just to listen, not even watch the event if I'm up doing something. Heenan was so funny, and his one-liners about Virgil, about Savage, about The Undertaker, all the stuff and all people he put over, to me, there's nothing better.
Oh, yeah, and if you were watching the intro to the show, you see Ric Flair hoisting that WWF title and Bobby Heenan screaming in the background that he won the title. So it's a big moment to me. Flair and Dusty Rhodes, to me, they're just my two favorite wrestlers. And just Flair consistently, he just put on world-class performances. And you could make an argument that was the best performance of his career.
There's no doubt that the 1992 Rumble was, in my opinion, Flair's best in ring. Now his promos are legendary.
You could go. His earlier promo work was a little better.
And I'm a big fan of the in promo when he's holding the title. He knew he was going to win, but the way he put that title over, and the I don't want to say the fake emotion, but the promo he cut, the tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment of my life, and holding on to the title and slapping it. He put WWF's title over more with that promo than anybody, because he put it over top of the NWA title. He put it over top of the WCW title. He said, this is the only title in the wrestling world that makes you number one. And for Flair to say that at that time, after him leaving, taking the big gold belt that was blocked by the censors on WWF television back when, that was saying something for that time.
Oh yeah, and to me it's still, you mentioned Flair Hogan, to me it is still one of the biggest management botches in history.
Absolutely.
Not to have Flair and Hogan at that point in their careers.
Absolutely.
I think that would have been the biggest WrestleMania you could have ever imagined, and then they didn't let it happen. And then when they did it, WCW did it a few years later.
They done it. I think the first one was at Bash at the Beach, 1994. I think that was their first one, and they had the uncensored pay-per-view in WCW at Freedom Hall in '98. I believe they had the first blood match in the cage. They've had who knows how many matches in between that, but that was going to be. And I've read a lot online that match didn't test well in house shows. Fans didn't like it for whatever reason, but I don't know how they couldn't like it.
Yeah, I think they were a little past their time, and to me it seems like it always seemed to me that if you go back and watch the WCW matches, the matches or the pay-per-view cards, the matches that they really sold the most and that were at the top of the the main card, those are the matches that really weren't as good. Because when you watch what they had going on in the cruiserweight division,
cruiserweights at the time were banging.
Those tag titles and stuff. Those matches were just out of this world. To think Chris Jericho, as much as he did in WWF and WWE, when he was in WCW, I loved everything he did.
Absolutely.
Loved everything he did, and to think that they had Jericho,
Juventud,
Malenko, Hoovy,
Psychosis.
The list goes on, and just talented guys.
Malenko,
and none of them got to the top of the card.
Never did.
None of them got to the top of the card.
Never did.
But we're going to talk a little bit about this weekend's Rumble. The first match I was wanting to talk about is the Divas title match, which features someone at ringside, which we just been talking about. The man himself, the Nature Boy, which you know he's going to get involved.
Absolutely.
You know he's going to get involved, but I'm kind of confused at, the whole Divas Revolution. It was really red hot. They were really rolling with it. And now it's kind of cooled down. And then Charlotte got the title from the Bellas, who were heels for so long, and she turns heel a month or two later.
I don't understand what Vince or Triple H is trying to do. I mean, and she's not going to be her dad. She'll never be her dad. I don't know why they're trying to push her to be like her dad. I mean, she's over. I mean, you can listen to Raw or SmackDown, whatever pay-per-view she comes out on. As soon as her music hits, everybody starts doing the Ric Flair woo. I don't want to do it on here. Y'all make fun of me. But everybody does it. Her music is his music, just with a little bit of techno added into it. She's over. I don't know why that they're turning her heel. She could be the face, the female face of that company. And they've not really had a good female face. They've had the Bellas. They've had Sunny, which she's now a dumpster fire. Sable. They've had all these divas from the past. Tori Wilson. Lita. I mean, she could be Trish. Yeah. She could carry the banner, I think, for the women's division. But as a heel, she don't have the heel presence like her dad has.
And to me, if you're wanting the Divas title, if you're wanting the face to be a heel face, you've got Sasha Banks right
Absolutely.
there.
The boss.
And she can do it. And
she can.
And Sasha and Charlotte had so many good matches in NXT, with Charlotte playing the face of the company, and I don't see it. But again, I don't make the big bucks like they do at WWE. Maybe they've got big plans for that. But I think I think Charlotte retains thanks to Ric Flair.
I do too. I'm looking for, like I brought up in WrestleMania 8, Mr. Perfect was the executive consultant for Ric Flair. I'm looking for Flair to throw in some type of gimmick or foreign object gimmick is what it's called in the locker room, the brass knucks or whatever. I look for some type of gimmick to be thrown in.
I'd like to see the knucks myself,
And
that specifically.
I don't think she'll put it in the trunks like Flair used to, but I think that it won't be a clean win. Charlotte retains, but it won't be clean.
Oh yeah, and I don't think this is the last time we'll see these two go at it.
Absolutely no.
I think maybe we may be in for a best of 3.
Very possible.
But
May
I
see it again at Fastlane. They may see it again at WrestleMania 32.
Possibility. The another title match we were talking about earlier, the U.S. title match between Del Rio and Kalisto, which they had on Monday Night Raw, and Kalisto won the title. Then they taped it the next night, Tuesday, and aired it on Thursday. Del Rio won it back. So you've already got it built in right there. You told me that you thought there might be a little funny business in the.
I think the ending on the Raw match may have been botched. Like I wasn't in the locker room, but if you watch it, he comes down, Kalisto comes down, goes for the fall, and Del Rio makes no effort to kick out, which I don't understand. I don't know.
He also had his shoulders pinned down with his legs too.
Yep.
So it could have been, just Kalisto held him down.
It could have been a botch by Kalisto, but I'm not sure.
I don't know how this little dude could have held
exactly.
Del Rio down.
I don't know what went on there, but it didn't look like on the replay there was no injury or anything like that, because as soon as the match is over, Del Rio pops up and he's looking around. What in the world happened? I just got pinned. I think it was a botch. I really do.
Well, I don't know that it was a botch, but the fact that they had a title change on SmackDown tells me that something is interesting, because they never do that.
Yep.
There's never a title change on a taped show. Go figure.
Yeah, exactly.
Go figure.
Who'd have thought?
So you never see the champ drop the title of the house show. You never know.
Never.
I don't know why, but I think Kalisto gets the title.
I'm gonna have to disagree.
Oh,
I
not
think
so fast, my friend.
Not so fast, my boy. I think the League of Nations. I think right now they're trying to build them up, push them as much as they can. I really believe that Del Rio retains. Outside interference, of course, it's not going to be clean. Kalisto's over with his lucha gimmick. Him and Sin Cara, I don't really see, him getting the title. I do see League of Nations interference with Del Rio winning.
Well, we're different on that, so we'll see what happens. That guarantees us that one of us isn't going to have a perfect card. But tag team titles on the line with my boys, the New Day, and I think it's just a matter of time before the Usos win the title back. But I don't know if it's this weekend or not.
I agree with you. They don't. Not this weekend.
But it should be a good match, though. I really enjoyed the TLC match with these two teams and the Lucha Dragons.
Absolutely.
'Cause that match, when you growing up in the era that I did, when I was in middle school and high school, watching the TLC matches, tag matches that I saw with the Hardys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudley Boys, you just thought that you would never. I just felt like you'd never get back to that, like it would never hit that level again. But I think it did at TLC.
It was a very, very good TLC match, and I'm with you. I grew up. I was in middle school and high school, 98, 99, 2000, 2001. I graduated in 03, and I have to admit, I didn't think. I'm with you. I didn't think that we'd ever see the TLC events hit the heights that they were then, but that one was right there. I would put that up, not as good as the Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon WrestleMania 10 match.
The ladder match, yeah.
But it was if I told somebody to watch a TLC match to get an idea of what to expect, I would have to use that TLC match with the Triple Threat.
It was a great match, and it had the spots too.
It did.
It had just some big spots. When Kalisto hit his finisher off the top of that ladder onto the other ladder, I was watching it with a handful of friends at the house, and we all because you see it and you're like, no, they're not going to do this. There's no way they're up. It's over.
They did, and it was a great. I mean, that's a move, I'm telling you, that both guys had to trust each other to do that. And I'm sure they practiced it. I don't know about going through a ladder every time, but you know they had to practice that move because, I mean, that is a very, I think, it was a great spot, and I'm glad they pulled it off, nobody getting hurt, but that was very dangerous. Crowd, it was over. I mean, crowd loved it, but
they loved all the dangerous stuff.
They do.
But I don't know if they made, you know, the big spot in the, it was either I think it was the SummerSlam TLC match where Jeff Hardy got speared by Edge.
Yes, that was incredible.
They said that they never practiced that.
Really?
I watched an interview once
Wow.
where they said, "Are you crazy? Why would we practice that?" Because
that's incredible.
So they just were going to go for it. They had to, and when you're 20 feet off the ground and you lunge at somebody and you're just going straight down, I wouldn't want to practice it either. But so I think, yeah, New Day retains, and I think they're over as heels right now.
They are.
And I mean, a lot of the crowds just love them.
They
just
do.
because they like to see the antics. They're not I would like to see them, and this is just the old school in me, like I don't like the goofy heels as much.
Yep.
I love New Day. I like what they're doing. But I really wish that they would just get some old-fashioned heat and not the cheap heat where they come out and they talk about the town they're in and get, you know, just get the reactions. I'd like to see them, you know, just cheat and like with the Four Horsemen back in the day. Okay, there's you a heel stable that. I mean, that and the NWO are the two greatest heel stables of all time.
Absolutely.
And when the Horsemen, when it looked like they were going to lose a match, one of them would jump in.
Every time you can bet on it.
And then when they would jump in, they just wouldn't grab the titles and leave. They would punish.
That's it.
They would punish the people, and you don't see New Day doing that. They're the chickens that get their shot in and run off. I'd like to see them just. It always killed me that when they were feuding with the Dudley Boys, they always teased putting them through a table, but it always got turned around on them at the end.
You're talking about heat. I mentioned King Cantrell. He is the booker promoter for Bluegrass Championship Wrestling, and he's been all over the South he's Jim Cornette. He was with Smoky Mountain Wrestling for a long time doing the ringside photography, that kind of stuff. He told me the story. It was sometime in the 80s. The Midnight Express was going from show to show, and they got pulled over. The policeman pulled them over, arrested them, and they took them to jail because the cop hated them so bad. That's how bad they were. That's how much they were hated.
I've heard that.
Then when they went and saw the judge, it was the same. The judge got to see them the same day. The judge had a JYD poster hanging up behind his chair. And he was going to keep them in jail, and they made some phone call to Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette got them. I guess they, talked their way out of it. But you would never see the New Day pulled over by, a police officer because of the heat they have on TV. You would never see that. That's something that's lacking.
Jim Cornette talking his way out of something.
Who would have thought, right?
Who would have thought that? But what I think. I think the tag team match is going to be a great match. But what I think is going to be the match of the night, even over the Rumble, is this last man standing match for the Intercontinental title with Dean Ambrose and my man Kevin Owens. I was surprised that Ambrose won the title off of Owens last time. Which both of them are hot as fire.
They are.
Both of them are just.
They are very.
And you want to talk about someone getting heat? Kevin Owens. He gets heat. He gets it. He doesn't get it by cheap heat. He gets it by beating people up. And,
that's it.
And cheating and he sometimes I like what they do with Owens because he doesn't always have to cheat to win.
Nope.
He's not one of those heels. He's a heel that will cheat when he needs to, but he's a heel that can win matches clean. And he won one over the face of the company, John Cena.
Yep.
So.
And that's something, too, about Owens that I think gets him over a lot with the fans is he's not, built like John Cena. He's not built.
He's built like Nathan Little.
Well,
he's built like.
You said it, not me. But he doesn't have the physique of the champions like Del Rio. He don't have the physique of Big E in the New Day. He looks just like a normal person getting out into the ring and just wrestling, and I think that gets him over a lot. Like you said, he's got skill. The dude can go. I mean, he can work. He can work. Every match I've seen that he's had, I mean, he works, and he works good. I mean, all of his spots are good. He don't botch a lot of stuff. I mean, he's spot on.
He's deceptively a high flyer too.
He is,
because he can hit moonsaults. He he does the sentons off the top rope. He does. He just does a lot of moves. He does a lot of moves that you wouldn't see a guy his size doing.
He does.
And I think that, but that Ambrose, I love him outside the ring, but inside the ring, to me, right now, he's leaving a little bit to be desired. Because his matches, it seems like he's got, he seems like everybody got on to John Cena for a long time because he had the 5 moves of doom, and that was all he did. But if you watch Ambrose's independent stuff, he had a deep move set, but a lot of it is stuff that doesn't fly in WWE. It's inverted pile drivers, stuff that hits on the head or hits on the neck, and that they're not allowed to do. So I think he's going to get there eventually. But when he was chasing after Rollins, when Reigns got hurt and Rollins had the title, I'm telling you, that stuff was, or even when Rollins had was still the Money in the Bank carrying the briefcase around. Ambrose was the what you waited to see on Monday Night Raw. And you wanted to see when he was going to show up and when he was going to tackle Rollins.
That's it.
Throw some punches.
And that's another thing too, is no matter where he's at, I mean, he gets a loud pop. It could be in Philadelphia, it could be in Sacramento, California, Tampa, Florida, Minneapolis. He is going to get the biggest pop of the night. That's over everybody. And that's just the way he is.
It's like his music is almost set to have that pop because it has that real long guitar slide, and people know what's coming, and they just go nuts. But
music like that I mean, everybody has their own entrance music, but there's certain themes, and his is one of them that when it hits what's going on. The Rock, the glass break on Stone Cold's, the Undertaker's gong, and then Dean Ambrose. I mean, that's probably the best entrance music right now going.
Oh, absolutely. I'm torn on this one because it seems that neither one of them have the leg up on each other. On SmackDown, Owens stands tall, powerbomb to Ambrose at the end of their segment. So he got the last laugh this week. Who gets the last laugh Sunday night?
I'm going with the champion. I'm saying Ambrose retains. He may drop it at Fastlane. He may drop it at Mania, but I'm going with Ambrose and the last man standing.
I don't think they put the title on him and then jerk it a month later. I think they give him 2 or 3 months, and this could, even though they've already had, this will be their second match. This could possibly be a Mania match.
Very, very possible. We could see this in March at the Cowboy Stadium in Texas.
So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to that match. But the match that everybody wants to see at Royal Rumble is the Royal Rumble with Roman Reigns, and the first time the title is being defended. Not the first time the title is on the line because Ric Flair won it, but the title was vacant at the time.
It was.
So, but now Reigns comes in with the title, and he might not leave with it. But what people look forward to every Royal Rumble is you got 30 competitors, and there's typically not 30 guys that are actively on the roster, and they've got a card to fill. So they have a lot of surprise entrants. Last year we had Diamond Dallas Page. We had Boogeyman.
Dudley's.
Well, I think Bubba Ray. I think it's Bubba Ray. Bubba Ray, and he had a segment with R-Truth, who took Devon's spot for the night, I guess. But there's so much talk about these New Japan guys that they've not signed according to WWE or whatever. But the fact that they're teasing it online and they're talking about it, AJ Styles, arguably one of the best workers in the world,
I agree.
Is he has a New Japan title, but he's going to have to drop it. So something's up. They were all members of the Bullet Club with Finn Balor,
Mm-hmm.
who is the NXT champion. So I think there's a possibility you can see the NXT champion in the Rumble, and maybe some of his boys get in there. But Balor's a good guy, and the Bullet Club was always bad guys. So
What are you going to do,
who knows? Do you think we see them in the Rumble?
I would say we see Styles. I mean, there's too much chatter on certain wrestling websites, and I really believe that we see him. There's too much build-up. I mean, you can't keep much a secret anymore with social media and the way stuff gets reported, so I expect to see him. If we don't see him, I'll be more shocked than if I do see him.
Yeah, and that's kind of sad, because I remember in the Monday Night Wars days, you just never knew who was going to show up.
That's it.
On any given night. But now nobody can keep anything a secret.
The best thing that we could have ever seen in the Monday Night Wars, in my opinion, is when D-Generation X went to the WCW event. You remember that?
Oh, in the tank?
They went in the tank, the fatigues, WCW, the arena, they closed down the slider door. Getting to see D-Generation X at a WCW Monday Nitro event would have been something we would talk about for as long as time exists in the professional wrestling world. It probably would have made the Today Show that big of a story. I think it would have been.
You just never knew what was going to happen, but now in this day and time, they just can't keep it a secret.
Can't keep it a secret.
Well, there will be some secrets that were kept from us, and we'll find them out on Royal Rumble night. But the thing that I think is going to stand in Roman's way the most is the Wyatt family.
Absolutely.
And they really took me by surprise on Monday night when they showed up at the end of the night and they just cleaned house.
Yep.
And they're all going to be in the Rumble, and you think they're going to team up, and they're just going to.
I do. I think we also see Sister Abigail. It's been teased that there's a NXT wrestler coming as Sister Abigail. I thought that Paige, I don't know why I thought that, but I thought Paige would be Sister Abigail when she turned heel a few months ago. But I'm with you. I think the Wyatts, and last year, if you remember, Bray had a strong showing in the Wyatt, which set up the Undertaker-Bray match.
Had several eliminations.
And I really believe that you're going to see, Luke Harper, and you're going to see Strowman, and you're going to see Rowan and Bray. I mean, I would say with the family and the way they do stuff, I would say that it comes down to those four left. The other three will eject herself, and you'll see Bray as a champion. If it comes down to that.
I'd like to see that, but there's also someone else that could stand in the way, and it's Mr. Brock Lesnar, because he was one of the ones that was attacked by the Wyatt family on Monday night. So you never he's booked to be unstoppable.
And that's something about the booking that I don't understand. I mean, I'm still a big Undertaker fan. The streak ending at Mania like it did at WrestleMania 30. I mean, I don't know why that it ended like it did. I really believe that the referee didn't know the finish to that match.
Really?
I really believe that those two worked it out. Undertaker, of course, had to agree to lose that match and have the streak stop, but I don't believe the referee knew. But the streak stopping like it did, and then Lesnar, getting beat, and Rollins winning the title like he did at Mania, coming down, cashing the Money in the Bank. I think breaking the streak was a big mistake. But
I mean, you can make an argument for that, because you would like to see when the streak got broken, if it was going to get broken, you would like to see it push somebody or elevate somebody, and it did elevate Brock for a little while, but then he never shows up on TV. He's only there every few months. He won the title off Cena in dominating fashion.
Killed him.
So I would have, and if he would have just been a full-time wrestler at that point, I think he would have caught fire. But you can only stay relevant.
Yep.
When you wrestle.
And I've seen the Stone Cold podcast with Vince, whenever it was back last year, and they were talking about the use of Brock Lesnar, and I seen also an interview with Vince way back when about Andre, about how Andre was over, but people had already seen him. They were using him as a special attraction in certain cities before it become WWF. It was the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, and they were, working the Northeast Territory. Andre was over, but they weren't drawing the crowd, and that's what Vince said they were doing with Brock, is they were using him as a special attraction. When you saw him on an event, you knew it was big. You knew, hey, if you're going to be able to watch one pay-per-view in the next 3 or 4 months, or have family over, have friends over, whatever, get the one with Brock Lesnar, because it's going to be something spectacular.
Jim Ross would use the term overexposed.
Yep.
If you see somebody too much.
That's a good term.
But I don't think Brock wins the title. I'm leaning towards Roman retaining, but a close second to me is Bray Wyatt. And I would really, because at this point, and I think it's refreshing, really. We really don't know what's going to be the main event at WrestleMania.
Nope, and that's thank God, like you said, that's refreshing. I mean, biggest crowd. It probably will beat out WrestleMania 3, the 93,173 they had. Been at the Cowboy Stadium. They've been building it up for a year. And something I failed to mention in the Divas title match about how we're seeing more female wrestlers, high school wrestlers, than I've ever seen in my life. I mean, Letcher County's got 4 or 5 on their squad. Perry Central's got 2 or 3 girls. Harrison County's got, I think, 3 girls on their team. Ronda Rousey fever is growing, and Holly Holm fever. I know Rousey got beat, but these girls coming out to wrestling makes me feel good, because that's a good role model for them. Everybody gets on the bandwagon. Oh, it's violent. Females shouldn't be violent, whatever. But I would much rather have kids coming out to wrestling practice to aspire to be like Ronda Rousey than see the Kardashians on TV and aspire to be like them.
Speaking of Ronda Rousey, do you think she shows up at Mania?
I do think we see Ronda Rousey. Everybody knows it was set up last year with The Rock and Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie. Ronda got beat. I still think she makes an appearance at WrestleMania 32. In what capacity, I'm not sure yet, because I don't know. I don't think she's going to wrestle, because she's still under contract with UFC, obviously, but she'll be there. She'll make some type of on-screen appearance. Maybe like last year, she may get involved in the Divas Championship match. I don't know yet, but I do think that we'll see her there.
Yeah, she's I think it kind of, the fact that she lost kind of cools her off a little bit. But we'll see what happens, because she's really not made any appearances since she got crushed. Since she got
knocked out, man. That Holly Holm laid it to her.
But so it, in the sense, it's cooled off, but nobody's seen her, and they're waiting for her. Maybe this is her first big public appearance.
And there's no way somebody can convince me that she got beat at the UFC event just to make a WrestleMania appearance. I'm not buying it. There's no way that she dropped the title just to be able to get on.
If you're undefeated, you want to stay undefeated.
Absolutely.
That's all there is to it. But I think Reigns wins the Rumble. I think Bray Wyatt's a close second. But I forgot to mention a surprise entrant, Randy Orton. I'm thinking
very possible.
We've not heard a lot from him in a while, and he's. I don't think he was rumored to be injured, but I don't think it was a really serious injury, if I remember correctly.
And that's something too that the main roster's dealing with. Is you've got Seth Rollins out, blew his knee up. You've got John Cena that's out. Orton is rumored to be hurt. And Daniel Bryan is out with his neck. I think he saw like his 3rd doctor today, or
I know it
recently.
Came out today.
So we might see him. I don't think so, but I mean that's 4 main draws that aren't going to be in. So we'll probably see. And
also, don't forget, maybe not a main consistent draw, but I'm sure they had plans for Sting too.
Sting is another one. Cesaro is another one. I mean, it broke my heart. Whenever Sting came out at Survivor Series 2014, I jumped out of my bed. I was in my bed watching it, and I jumped up like a little kid, like I was 8 years old watching.
I ran around the house.
Saturday morning wrestling. I mean, to hear that Crow music, and everybody knew what it was. That was new music for Sting, but as soon as that Crow hit, I knew exactly who it was. I'm a big Sting guy. I got to see him wrestle a lot. Huntington, Charleston, Lexington in the Surfer gimmick. Got to see him, I think, one time in the Crow gimmick in the Monday Night Wars. But, I mean, I had to go on WWE Shop and buy me a toboggan and shirt because I'm that big of a fan of Sting. I was hoping to get to meet him when his son played football at UK. I never got the chance, to run up and get a selfie with him because I would have, because he's that over to me. But Sting, in my opinion, the match he had against Rollins was a terrible.
I don't think it ever should have happened.
Never should have happened. I mean, Rollins is a stud. Sting, is 56, 57. I hate to see an idol that I grew up watching, with I hate to use the term dad bod, but he was not in any shape like he used to be. Had the bald spot. You could tell his hair was dyed. And at WrestleMania 31, when he come out to the crowd, you could tell he was shell-shocked. He did not expect that many people, and he never wrestled in front of that many people. Maybe in Japan, but WCW never drew anything close to that. Even their biggest cards never. I mean, I don't know what their biggest of draw was, but it was nothing close to that ever.
Oh yeah, it's unfortunate, but Rollins is just world class, and he's not. With Ric Flair, Ric Flair could have a good match with a broom in his prime. I don't think Rollins is at that level. I think he needs to have someone that's close to his level to be able to put on a match like that. And Sting I listened to an interview with Sting, or read an interview with Sting about that incident, and he took the buckle bomb, and he hurt his neck, and he said he took two of them, and the first one rocked him, and he's like, oh, I've got to tuck my chin in next time and take it, and he forgot it again. So I mean, it wasn't really. I guess he's just not. I couldn't tell you when's the last time he would have taken a hit like that.
I couldn't either. I mean, he stayed in the rafters at WCW for how long?
A year before.
Walking around before he had the first match with, I think it was Hogan at Starrcade 98, I believe it was. I mean, Sting, that was his prime. I mean, him up in the rafters for all that time. I mean, he'd come down, which we can't do that anymore because of Owen Hart's tragic death. And I wouldn't want to see that. I think that'd be disrespectful to Owen to see him come out of the rafters, and I don't think Vince would allow that either. But I am glad to see Sting finally going into the Hall of Fame. I think we'll see some good talent this year, some good workers go into the Hall of Fame. And I think also there needs to be a clause in there that certain talent can be removed from the Hall of Fame. That's just my personal opinion.
You have any ideas of any other talent that could be in the Hall of Fame this coming year?
Last year they introduced the his name escapes me, the Japan wrestler that Ric Flair had Super Brawl bouts with. His name I cannot remember. It saved my life, but I was glad to see him. I mean, I'm not sure if they're going to go that direction. I'm not sure.
Steamboat or
that wasn't Steamboat.
No.
It was
We'll have to look it up.
Yeah,
okay.
Forgive us. We're sorry for
I'm
that.
Lost. I really don't.
But
I have a hard time figuring out what you're talking about.
They might go with some WCW talent. They might go with some NWA talent. They may do a complete WWE roster going into the Hall of Fame. But with Sting being inducted as a WCW wrestler, he did get some WWE time. I think we'll see some other WCW wrestlers. I think it's overdue for like Jake the Snake. Jake the Snake
His movie just came out. That could be
is overdue. I actually got to work a show with Jake the Snake at the Sherman Nice Athletic Center. We had a Bluegrass Championship Wrestling, had him there for a meet and greet.
He was the first ever guest on the 5-Star Podcast.
Was he really?
Yep.
That's probably the same week he was here.
Absolutely.
Jake the Snake, his tying Randy Savage up in the ropes and having the King Cobra bite his arm in '91. I mean, as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old kid, that terrified me. And that, to me, that was pro wrestling. I mean, you see kids in the crowd crying. You see, women covering their eyes. That's when you know that it was over. Now, I mean, obviously, if the snake had not been venomized, it could have been a totally different situation. But you would never see somebody get bit by a snake on Monday Night Raw. You'd never see somebody get bit by a snake on a pay-per-view or SmackDown. Whereas that was Saturday morning WWF Superstar Wrestling that set up a feud for who knows how long. And I'm not sure what the backstage presence was with Jake and Randy Savage, but I mean, somebody's going to let you get bit by a snake. You got to be pretty good friends with them.
Oh, no doubt about it. Looking forward to Mania. Don't know who's going to be in it. Looking forward to figuring out a little bit of that. Maybe at Royal Rumble, maybe some stuff will get set up and we'll know what's going on.
And we'll see Stone Cold. I mean, he probably won't wrestle because he's already said he wouldn't. We're going to see The Rock. Everybody knows The Rock's already been on social media and said he's got big plans. We might see The Rock as a surprise entrance in the Rumble. Very possible.
Whoa.
Because,
Maybe so.
I mean, everybody knows that Roman Reigns and The Rock are family. Last year when Roman won it, The Rock come out, congratulated him, and Reigns got booed. I'm not sure it was because of The Rock coming out or whatever, but we could see. I think the fans want to get behind Reigns. I really believe the fans.
You could possibly have Reigns, The Rock, and the Usos, all family, versus the Wyatt family.
Very possible. That would be a good card. That would be a good match. But WrestleMania, like I said, we're going to see The Rock. We're going to see Stone Cold. We're going to see probably the biggest spectacle at WrestleMania that we've ever seen, in my opinion, because Dallas Cowboy Stadium is too nice. They got the Jumbotrons big as the football field.
They're trying to break that attendance record.
And they're wanting to get that, like you said, that 93,173 that was announced at WrestleMania 3. They're probably already sold that many tickets or more if they're even on sale. I don't know if they're on sale yet. I couldn't afford to go. I'd like to go, but that'd be just to go and see and do the fanfare, get to see people from all over the world there. But we'll probably see, and that's something too about, you look at WrestleMania 4, 5, 6, 7, I mean, you're looking at 13, 14 matches on a card. Now, with these people cutting.
We got 5 matches and an undercard match.
Okay.
One of them's a 30-man Royal Rumble.
Okay, so
for this weekend. You imagine Royal Rumble will probably be shorter than Mania, but I'd say probably 7 or 8 matches, and counting the pre-show.
Counting the pre-show. And a lot of that goes to promo time, and we was talking about that off the set. I mean, Ric Flair, if you watch his old promos, he could get heat in 2 seconds. He could do a 2-minute promo, and he could have the entire world mad at him. Whereas now, when they got set teleprompters up in the corners of the ring, I mean, that's when you know, when you got to have a prompter up to remind you what you're supposed to say on your promo, that's when you know, in my opinion, it's too long. If you can't get heat by coming out in 2 minutes and wrestling either dirty, wrestling clean, and that's another thing I don't care to mention just for a little bit, is the lack of, we don't have any monster heels, we don't have any baby faces right now. I don't think we do.
A lot of 50-50 booking.
We got like 50-50. We have some good guys, some bad guys, but we don't have the old school Ric Flair. We don't have the Undertaker that puts people in a body bag and jumps on them after the match. We don't have a 1985 Roddy Piper who the WrestleMania 1 main event wouldn't have been nothing without, I mean, I know Hogan and Mr. T, was the draw, but without Piper being the heel that he was, that match goes into the archives as just another match. And another thing, we don't have the baby faces like we used to have. We don't have the Hulk Hogan back before all of his troubles, coming out ripping his shirt off, standing up, say your prayers, take your vitamins, do your homework, be true to yourself, be a real American. We don't have that. And I think that's something that the kids, we got John Cena. But in my opinion, John Cena is not much of a baby face. I mean, he is a face, but he's not what he could be. He's not, I mean, I'm a small guy, but I said my prayers, I took my vitamins, I worked out, did my homework. I done what Hulk Hogan told me to do because I looked up to Hulk Hogan, because back then, I mean, he was, every morning on Saturday Morning Wrestling, he'd come out, clean the house, everybody loved him. That's something that the kids or the fans now don't have, and I really wish that they would push people to be a babyface, push people to be a monster heel, get away from the 50-50 or the riding the fence or whatever you want to call it.
Well, we'll see what they do, but thanks for coming by, Alex.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
We'll be back next week with the recap of Royal Rumble. Mr. Shane Smith, as soon as we get through with this winter storm this weekend, we'll recap it, and we'll know all the answers to all of our questions from tonight. Thanks for watching, guys.